At the age of 38, I became the 48th president of Costa Rica. At the age of 42, I finished my term, and I got a little bit into an existential crisis. I am now 43. My son is 10, and he is the light of my eyes. He's, everything to me in the world. But when I look back at that 10-year-old, not my son, me, back then, I never imagined or ambitioned to become president of my country. I was a shy, shovey guy who will have a hard time going in front of the class, and it still does. Stage panic is not something that you surpass. You know how to live with it. So how come this 10-year-old made this path to the presidency, and what happened afterwards? So I always loved changing things. I loved changing things. But, this shyness was also there. So I was the best catcher for my pitcher, literally, when I played baseball. I was the best roadie to the band until they didn't have a singer and I had to step up. And then I become a really good, I have to say, political advisor to politicians in my country. And I was advisor to a great generation of politicians. But one day I realized that one thing is to advise, but there's so much that you can say to one point. And certain change require you to exercise your liberty as responsibility and step up to the occasion. I learned that while being an advisor on a campaign, but not running it and knowing exactly why we were going to lose, but not being at the helm. So the next campaign, I step up and I ran the campaign. And not only to my credit, but then President Solis, my predecessor, became the 47th president of Costa Rica. I was not thinking about running then at all. I said, I'm going to be advisor to President Solis. And he said, why don't you are a minister? And I ended up being a minister. And then 2016 came along. And many things happened during that year that really had an impact on me. I studied in the UK, so Brexit was a big deal. I have a great connection with Colombia, so the referendum for peace to a Costa Rican, a country without an army, had a real impact on me. And the US election as well. And we were heading into a presidential election, and my political party, nobody was going to run because they were convinced we were going to lose. So again, I was faced with that dilemma. Should I only advise or should I take responsibility? And I did. We started my campaign with 4% in the polls. And then I became the president, and great things happened from my perspective. Same-sex marriage became a reality in Costa Rica, amplifying rights for lots of peoples. We made the first decarbonization plan after the Paris Agreements in 2019. As Christian told, we amplified the protected area of the Cocos Island from 3% to 30% and worked together with Colombia, Panama, and Ecuador to do the same and to show the way it was possible to protect nature and make it in a sustainable way. I had to enforce something as hard as a fiscal reform, but because it was the right thing to do. And now the country's prospect is improving, even though lots of people hate the guts out of me. But I think that's not what I'm supposed to be telling you now. Is that when that ended, I got into that existential crisis. I was 42. What is it that I have to do now? I never ambitioned to be president. I am here with a weird title of former something. What is it I have to do now? So then came an invitation from a friend that was today, Marshall Fritz, to a panel to talk about climate migration. To be 100% honest, I said, what climate has to do with migration? So I started to research to go there, and I started to see the huge impact that we were not even imagining. But more important, Marshall introduced me there to this interesting fellow who spoke to me in Spanish, Costa Rican Spanish with American accent. And then we bumped the next day in another meeting, in a table. It was 2 crowds, and we started talking about fisheries. And he said, oh, we have some fisheries projects, here and there, all around the world. He's a guy in a fishery organization. And then we were talking about regenerative agriculture. And we have some projects in Colombia, here and there. Oh, he's a guy with fisheries and agriculture. And then we started talking about behavioral sciences and how we needed to change the narratives of things to have a profound impact. And I said, you're on the spot, but what is it that you do? Is so rare, literally. So he said, well, you're based in Boston, right? Let me invite you to a meeting in Boston, no pressure. You go, you sit there, you listen. And I went there, and literally we went from analyzing every piece and detail of the Inflation Reduction Act to the fisheries in Honduras, to, the whole thing, the narrative of how we need to persuade people in a very elegant way. And then all of a sudden, that existential crisis started in my process of coming up with meaning to turn into an interesting direction of how is not our positional role what necessarily matters, but our contribution wherever we are. And if I look again at my 10-year role, I want to do about everything and anything with my time and my energy to make for him and his generation a better planet. Because we know that that is at risk. And I want to do everything as possible so I can give him a good answer when he's 40 and I'm older. Hopefully. And that's, I think, the most precious way I can give love to that 10-year-old, to others, through him, through that inspiration, to the planet, but also, and perhaps because of my own limitations, is to give love to the other 10-year-old. Because you can have positions, you can have money, lots of money in the world, you could have recognition. But I think there are things that matter more. And I think it's that capacity to make good change happen. Purpose, love, that's what matters. And that, my friends, is what I have found in RARE. With the people of the organization, with how eclectic and beautiful it is, looking for the answers all across. So with your permission, I would like to make a toast. And if I don't see glasses, it's because you people are weird or rare. And I would like to make a toast for the rare contribution that each of us has to provide in order to make the change we need to happen. Cheers.